page turner. Would you all like to hear a story?
Yes.
Yes. Well, of course you would. Well, the secret of telling a story is to make it as comfortable as an old pair of shoes. And this is one of those stories. But this story begins 5,000 miles away from where you might expect it to start. Queenstown Seaport, Ireland, 1897. What? Late at night. You all are doing good. Oh, sorry.
Hennessy, so it's now or never, isn't it?
We don't always do what's right or what's good. But when it all comes down to it, I believe we do exactly that. What's right and what's good for each other, no matter what.
Oh, I'm in love with everything about you. You've talked about finding that pot of gold in California since you were a wee lad. It was inevitable this day would come.
In America, the inevitable almost never happens. In the unexpected, well, that constantly occurs.
Oh, my father would always say, life is for the living, and death is for the dead.
Heather, you are an odd girl. But I love you all the same. And remember, this is only for a while. It only takes 10 days to cross the ocean to New York City. Then I have a job with the railroad, which will take me across America to California in less than 3 months.
Oh my!
And when I get there, I will save every dollar and send you a ticket to join me. This is our dream, remember?
Our dream! Yes! Our dream of cars!
I was dreaming last night in the moon's silvery light. In those dreams I was gazing across the blue sea. As I stood on the shore, I remembered once more of a place I've been longing to see. Though this land we call home is a fine one,
with as sweet as a wild Irish rose,
it's a great grand adventure awaits us.
Dungeon is where the shamrock grows.
It's a place like no other, a land to discover.
Yet far, far away we must roam.
May the angels above you protect you. California will soon call our home. California will soon call our home.
Holding my hand when you go. No, you're always holding my heart. Not literally, of course. That would be disturbing to the wee children.
Remember, every time you look up at that moon, I too will be looking at a moon. Not the same moon, of course, that's impossible. But a moon all the same.
Anchors away!
Let's go!
Must you? To be Irish is to know that in the end the world will break your heart.
The world's mine, but I'll never break your heart. I promise. As soon as I can, I will send for you.
Will he make it to America? Will she ever see her love again? Will the future be kind to them? It's a common story told many times. I came to California when I was young with my family. We didn't have much. But this little music box was always with me. My prized possession. No matter where I go, it's always with me. No matter where I call home. Where are we?
San Juan Capistrano, 1897.
You are so good at this. This is Harmony House, home of the judge. In case you're new around here, the judge was born in Ireland, but he came to America as an orphan child of 10. He was 19 when the Civil War broke out, and he served the Confederacy as a sailor. Many consider him the town's repository of common sense. Probably because he's an extensive reader. He's, a great storyteller. He's generous and just. Oh, and a gracious host. This is a place where you could sit down for a friendly game of cards or to enjoy a meal with whomever might have been invited. Or who invited themselves. It is late in the evening and the judge is just finishing up one of those stories he loves to tell.
Most of my travels across Orange County were rather leisurely. But one time, I was on the Anaheim-San Diego stagecoach when an outlaw attempted to hold him. Well, the driver refused to stop and received a shattered hand in the ensuing exchange of gunfire. Inside the cab, I was thrown violently from side to side as the stampeding horses ran across the rough terrain. I says to myself, enough is enough. So I opened the door. I grabbed the top rail of the stagecoach and pulled myself into the driver's seat. I grabbed the reins and brought the horses to a halt. And then I administered first aid to the injured man. Then I took up the reins again and drove to the next station, where I telegraphed the stagecoach company and resigned as a driver.
But you weren't employed by the stagecoach.
That's the point of the whole story. You must be new in town. I wish I had a nickel for every time I heard this tall tale.
Tall tale? I might embellish my stories a little, as any good Irishman would. But that's what makes them interesting.
Interested? Of course.
They say that war happens when everyone only tells the truth. Now, did I ever tell you about the time near the end of the war? What the devil?
Oh, so sorry for the cattywampus arrival. I seem to have gotten a little disagreement with your hitching post. Your post one.
Perfect timing. The judge was just about to start another one of his stories.
I was wondering when you'd be coming down to town from those hills you love so much. It wouldn't be a card game without you, Tim. I saved you a spot.
Oh, much obliged. I was over the hill visiting a friend up in Hammett. But you know, I'll never miss our Friday night card game. You know I can't resist playing a good game of cards.
It's not the playing, it's the winning I enjoy.
Who's this mountain man?
His name is Timber.
I may live in the mountains, but my profession is prospector. So you can consider me gainfully unemployed.
I know a lot of jokes about unemployed people, but none of them work.
Where does he hail from?
Tim came to California with the judge after the Civil War. He's been a good friend of the judge for 40 years.
He saved me life twice.
Oh, did he now? Well, then he must be a good friend indeed.
What he lacks in the area of personal hygiene, he more than makes up for in the playing of his harmonica.
Oh, he's just in town for the first time. And I get invited to this card game. Probably because I'm Irish.
Absolutely, because you're Irish. The judge comes from Ireland. When I heard your accent, I knew you'd be welcome there.
Americans say they love our accents, but many, I think, rather dislike us as people. A lesson learned by being on the opposite end of a conversation where Americans thought that no true Irishmen were listening.
You know, it reminds me of the time when I arrived here. English was almost a forgotten language, and most people spoke only German and Spanish. Most didn't even know they were members of the United States. When I heard you broke, I was certainly glad my friend Grover Woods here invited you to Harmony House.
Harmony House?
Mr. Hennessy, I will match your last bet, and I will raise you an additional $10. By the way, Harmony House is what the judge calls his home. Where do you call home?
Oh, I'm currently working a mine up in Timber Canyon with my new friend here, Tennessee. They have a bunkhouse for the miners.
That's an old map. They renamed Timber Canyon to Silverado many years ago. All those trees have been cut down a long time ago.
Well, sir, you have the advantage of me of knowing something that I do not. Silver tapped out there years ago, and then the Black Star Coal Mining Company was pulling 10 tons of coal out of there each day, mostly for Los Angeles and Anaheim, until that tapped out also.
All I know is the professor and this geologist fella that Mr. Bullenheim are having us dig more tunnels.
I thought those hills were mined out years ago. You know, if memory serves, the bone towns of Carbondale and Silverado faded into history, 20 years ago?
Well, mining might be over for silver and coal, but that all depends on what you're looking for.
Well, such a mysterious answer might deserve a trip out to your mine.
I'm told the mine is mostly owned by New York dead typhoon Gail Borden.
Tycoon.
Oh, well, you know him. Borden has invested a heap of money into that mine from that milk company he owns.
Is it in relation to that Lizzie Borden we've been hearing about? Just axing.
Well, I figure these 10 shares should more than cover your wager, sir. And I hope.
Oh, fine. You gonna bet, Tim?
A little too rich for my blood, unless I can convince you to take these furs I collected the other day.
No. I have too many upstairs in the office already. If I put any more up there, I won't be able to close the office door. It's gonna be a fire hazard.
Oh, fine then. I'm out.
So, what exactly might you be mining for?
Well, I have my own guess, but all I can say is the professor was talking about in his sales report that came back and confirmed a big strike. Oh, he was so excited. He paid us our back wages, gave us the day off, and handed out shares in the mine as a bonus. Some of the miners went up to Santa Ana, but Mr. Grover was here, invited me over for a pint and a game of cards.
What were you saying? A big strike?
Well, whoever wins this hand will find out for themselves, since I wagered 10 of me 100 shares is sitting there in the pot you're all staring at.
It's about time somebody else got a chance to win a little money as you won the last 4 hands in a row.
In that case, it seems the tide has finally turned, my new friend. Not much beats 3 aces.
I seems we both had a look in the eye, right?
Indeed we do.
All your tall tales about mines and riches, you must have kissed the bloody stone.
Probably more than once.
All I know is what I'm told. Come see for yourselves. A full crew of men in the profession will be working at the mine at first light tomorrow.
Well, now that I'm a new part owner of that mine, I might do just that.
I remember when I first arrived in America. I got a job with the railroad, mending ties and tracks. That brought me all the way from New York. I heard stories of the miners getting rich in the goldfields of California. So I promised myself that one day I would get rich in California.
That's old news. Those stories are from 20 years ago up in Placerville. That's a 4-day stagecoach ride from here.
That's right.
There's not much left to mine around here.
Not according to the professor.
Now that I've made it here to this state of sunshine, I can keep my promise and send for the most beautiful thing you've ever seen.
Most beautiful? Is someone talking about me?
Who is that?
Madame Majeska, according to this newspaper. She is the first and best tragic actress on the stage. Genius and originality in each character. Soul stirring, unquote. It's an old newspaper.
Local royalty, a countess, or something like that. She was a famous opera singer back in Poland and decided to come to California to make herself a home. Her husband, the Count, and her live on 400 acres up in a canyon near your mine. She likes everyone to call her.
Madame Majeska.
Well, pleasure to meet you, Madam M.
Oh! Madame M, I like that. Who might your friend be?
Oh, I'm Ian Hennessy.
So, you are two of those miners, bound and determined to disturb serenity of my forest garden.
Well, if you're talking about all the blasting, well, the professor says he's on a tight schedule. And he's put a contentious sort in charge of the charges.
And as for disturbing your serenity, but my job is only to lay and repair the tracks and crisscross the tunnels that are all in those hills of yours, and I do so as quietly as possible.
Helena, it seems that they've made a strike at the mine, and they're not at liberty to tell us any more about it.
Oh, interesting. Is that so?
Yes, your Highness. I mean, your ladiness.
As you are friend of King of San Juan.
King of San Juan. Home in the house, in the forest of Arden. They got so many names for things I wouldn't expect. They sound made up.
They probably are made up. That's one thing that makes this little town so interesting. If you don't like something, just rename it.
And they just let you do that.
Nobody's complained so far.
The judge is truly king of free and independent principality of San Juan. He has been justice of peace, telegrapher, notary, surveyor, dispenser of charity, mayor, judge, as well as being good friends.
With Madame M here, we might as well call it quits for cards. Soon she's gonna start her singing and
Singing?
Yeah.
Why do you think we have Trudy Light over here at the piano?
I was wondering.
Here it comes.
Did I ever tell you how I fill opera houses in New York, Boston, and San Francisco with this song? Oh, it is my Puccini favorite. Would you like to hear it, Judge?
Have I ever told you no?
All through the town, I saunter onward merrily. I wander onward daintily. See how their heads turn round, because they know I'm a darling and disarming, charming girl. Now that you know
cannot speak of opera without speaking of Giacomo Antonio Domenico Michel Secondo Maria Puccini. What is your opinion, Judge?
My opinion is that I don't know enough about opera to have an opinion. But if you like it, then so do I. You know, it's so good to see you out and about without the husband of yours, even though he left you so soon after your...
I will have you know I am well on recovery road. I even planted 3 myself a few days ago. I named him Chopin.
Why you must name all of your trees, eludes me.
And to answer a question, that gentleman father, a husband of mine, he is in Los Angeles showing off cuttings of prized olive tree.
Did I ever tell you about the time I was on the stagecoach to Los Angeles?
Yes, yes, many times. Oh, but it is still splendid story.
Well, if you'll excuse us, Judge and Madam M, we've got a busy day at the mine tomorrow, and we'd best be heading off. But it was indeed a pleasure meeting you.
The pleasure, it was all mine.
Well, since you're new in town, Hennessy, how about we head ourselves over to Garcia's Mercantile and Saloon. We'll go get us a bowl of his crow soup. Oh, his roasted goat head. They serve it with salsa and cactus fruit, so you don't taste the crow too much.
Crow soup?
Oh yeah, in this town, if you catch it, it becomes a meal. If you prefer, we could head on over to the Mission Grill. Oh, we could go head over to Selma's Pizzeria.
What 2 very pleasant men. I hope we see them again.
Well, since your Carol's in Los Angeles, how about an excursion out to the mine tomorrow? So we can find out more about this big strike, unless you're not up to it.
Oh, with these shares you won, you might be a rich man. After recent ill health, excursion may be exactly what I need. It is getting late.
Oh, well, then I'll meet you at your ranch tomorrow and escort you to the next canyon so we can find out more about this so-called mine.
Until the morning it is. Good night, Judge.
Good night.
The next morning, meet the professor and his wife, clairvoyante. Before you ask, yes, she used to be a soothsayer in town until this professor swept her off her feet. The professor is an example to others. A bad example, so keep on your toes.
One day, I was riding in a 2-horse carriage in San Francisco. And now, you're insisting that I live in a shed next to a mine in the middle of nowhere?
Isn't it grand? You'll get used to it.
What did you say?
I said you'll get used to it, dear. The fresh air, the excitement, and all the money we're getting from our benefactors and all the additional stock speculators.
You are nothing but a bamboozler and a swindler. Well, I know you too well to think that this whole mine business is anything less than larceny.
But you married me anyway.
Well, I had to marry someone. I figured it might as well have been you. And besides, women always think they can change their men.
And you have. I only bamboozle on weekends. And purloining every other Tuesday. Due to the stock market scare last year, I sold $2 million in Macintosh mine shares.
Did you say $2 million?
Roundabout figure, less expensive.
Well, maybe. Just maybe. I can deal with a little bit of inconvenience for just a little while longer.
Then you know how it works. You don't hoodwink people in a group. You do it one by one. And that takes time. And if you do it right, they don't even notice. The trap is set. I'm just waiting for it to spring.
Dear, I still don't understand then why you gave all the shares to the men and then gave them the day off.
Simply to wager those shares in card games. From Santa Ana to San Diego. Boys can't resist a good card game. Consider it advertising.
Well, how many more shares can you sell?
Don't concern yourself with the numbers. I would never be so selfish as to prevent the common man from investing in the Macintosh mine.
You have no idea how many shares you've sold. Well, Mr. Borden's not gonna like that you're selling more shares into what he considers to be his mine.
There is some money to be made by mining. But like most businesses, it's the selling of shares that makes you rich. I only do what I do to make you happy, my dearest wife.
Have I told you how villainous you are lately?
It's always music to my ears.
My darling scoundrel.
My bewitching and enchanting treasure.
Oh my goodness, did we just have a moment?
Pardon me, Professor. I just laid down the 30 more yards of track in 205, but are you sure that's the direction we should be digging? You know, I spent a lot of time in mines, and I know it's not my place to question, but I don't think we should be digging in that direction because the rock face seems a bit fractured, and, you know, we might
Hennessy. You are not getting paid to think, young man. At least not about ores. That is why we have a top geologist on the payroll. I predict that we are one tunnel away from the strike of a century.
Strike of the century, you say?
Yes. Why, hello there. Mining can be very treacherous and dangerous, but with my crew of brave, hard workers.
Oh, right, I'll get on to adding the tracks in tunnel. Oh, Madam M.
Oh, Hennessy. Mining, it seems so treacherous and perilous.
If you're looking for treacherous, might I introduce my husband, Professor
Macintosh. The name is Professor Macintosh.
Oh, no, may I introduce San Juan's famous judge?
By the name on your mind, might I guess you're Irish?
Yes, Irish, but only on my father's side.
Who knows what the future holds in store? Everyone takes risks just by living. My dad used to say, life is short. No risk, no riches.
Oh my! Is that dangerous?
What, this? Nothing to worry about. Just a few pieces of blasting powder and some private cord. Won't go off till I tell it to you.
Might I introduce our explosives expert, Dynamite. Third generation in our family working with things that go boom.
If you think this is dangerous, when we first arrived here, these hills were chock full of red diamond rattlesnakes. Seemed like every rock had one underneath it. And most of our days were spent popping snakes.
Popping snakes?
Here, hold this. Alright, so you grab them by the tail, and then swing them around until the head's popped off. It saves ammunition, and a stray bullet ricochet is not something you want with all the combustibles and inflammables you find inside a mine. Thank you kindly.
Dinah, please do excuse, but aren't you a little bold someone of your youth working with explosives.
Bold? I am not. My grandfather used to say those that are bold with explosives don't end up old with explosives. If you'll excuse me.
She is strange girl.
Look at this ore. Isn't it exciting?
Is it gold?
Genuine gold.
Good.
Stands up to a nitric acid test. This, however,
Yes?
well, it's
He failed the test. Sorry, not gold.
Oh, not gold?
what we have
Not silver.
No.
No, but see, what we have here is
Not nickel, neither.
what we have. This ore here is
By my figuring.
what we have here is far better than that.
Far better than that.
Maybe not
Far better
gold,
than that.
but rare nonetheless.
What?
Where?
Do you see these hills behind you?
Uh-huh.
Well, iron makes up about 50,000 parts per million.
Give or take.
While this ore that you hold in your hand
Yes.
makes up 2 parts per million,
That's not very much.
normally.
Give or take.
But it is plentiful in these parts. Now don't tell anyone,
Okay.
but we've struck it rich.
Oh.
We have found tin!
Tin, you say?
Oh, there's someone mentioned my name.
He's a tin, no tin.
Wait, sorry. My mistake.
Exciting, isn't it?
Is it? Why?
Because tin is used everywhere from carriage parts to food containers. That is why our main benefactor invested heavily in this mine, so that I may find him tin to coat his milk containers. You see, you can't ship milk in wooden barrels.
Oh, why not?
It's against the law.
Look who is concerned about laws.
If you could read my mind, you wouldn't be smiling.
What's your aim?
When I think of tin, I think of rusty cans.
Oh, tin don't rust. Tin covers those steel cans so they don't rust. And it keeps food fresh to eat.
Oh, I definitely heard Tim that time.
She say tin again, no tin.
Oh, sorry.
I have neglected to welcome you to my mine. That can be easily rectified. Gentlemen, will you join me? Oh, my name's Professor Mack, and I'm the leader of this clan. Although we're few in numbers, we're the bravest in the land. We mine and dig and blast away at every vein of ore. And when a shaft it plays out well, we're ready to find more. Oh, the blast go banging, the pickaxe clangs, and the men they toil away. McCarthy pumps in fresh water while men they mine all day. And Tennessee loading their carts with ore, ain't that something fine? A treasure's here for takers in the Macintosh tin mine.
Oh, his name's Professor Mack, and he's the leader of this clan. Although we're few in numbers, we're the bravest in the land. We mine and dig and blast away at every vein of ore. And when the shaft plays out well, we're ready to find more. Oh, the blast go banging, the pickaxe hangs, and the men they toil away. McCarthy pumps in fresh water while men they mine all day. And Tennessee loading the carts with ore, ain't that something fine? A treasure's here for takers in the Macintosh tin mine. The treasure's here for takers in the Macintosh tin mine. Ladies and gentlemen, our mine is a treasure trove of minerals that people will be clamoring for. They left a fortune behind,
You can see the ore all over the hillside and even on the ground in front of you. It's soft, pliable, easy to polish. Why? Without tin, there'd be no such thing as pewter or bronze.
Old matters true. If you see ore on the ground, you know there's more to be found below, which is why we blasted these tunnels to create the lovely mine you see here today.
I have a report from a respected geologist that states that these hills are full of tin.
Well, isn't exactly a word I would hear a geologist use.
A geologist?
Geologist J.A. Comer, ma'am. He's the one that discovered the famed 20 mule team borax mines in Death Valley.
Death Valley, you know that word.
So, to every miner, Comer's word is gospel.
That's right. And Comer's report states right here that cassinite is plentiful in this area. And all of our shareholders will thank their lucky stars that they invested in the Macintosh mine.
Cassinite, but I thought you said you found tin.
Don't even think about it.
Oh, fine.
Here is a copy of the geologist report based on initial findings. By the way, calcinite is where you find tin.
Well, it looks like what he is saying is true.
Well, look, there's Comer's signature, and there's the official county seal. This looks to be the genuine document.
Genuine?
Of course it's genuine, my dearest wife.
Fire in the hall!
Oh, no.
You might
No
want to
explosion,
take
no
a step back
explosion.
if you know what's best for you, ma'am.
Just had this little breath.
Why, thank you.
If I might ask, what brought you here to San Juan Capistrano?
My husband and I, we have farm up in Arcadia. But it's true fruitless, and milkless, and eggless. So we turned attention to ranching and orchards in the hills above San Juan.
It is my understanding that you have been bothered by our mining activities.
My husband and I live in the next canyon over for about 10 years now, for the peace and the quiet which these hills provide, which you are disturbing.
So sorry about that. I will make sure to limit blasting hours to daylight hours.
Small consolation.
I can't help but notice the excessive amount of explosives.
Oh, an overzealous supply that the professor accidentally ordered. More than what it needed for a month. Yeah.
Hello?
For a month of Sundays. That's how long we're going to have them for.
Oh, dear.
And if you think that's a lot, I got 10 times that much stored in tunnels 2 and 3.
10 times? Oh, Professor! Dinah, you might want to come have a look at this.
Oh, Hennessy! If you would like home-cooked meal tonight, please do join Judge and myself at Harmony House tonight.
Oh, it's nice to know I haven't worn out. Be welcome. It looks like they won't be needing me until like Tunnel 6, Professor. I'll be there.
Oh, I think we have bothered these folks long enough.
I think so, too.
Yes.
Madam, Judge, if you happen to have any friends who would like to invest in our mine, we do have a few more shares left. But when the big strike hits, the share prices will go up and up.
I would imagine so. Have a nice day, sir.
This could be the big one. Whether you invest or not, keep this as a souvenir, old man.
Trust him. This could be opportunity of lifetime.
Normally I'm a cautious man, but Helena, you might just be right. Hold this for me, thank you.
I will.
Hennessy, please do tell us, how did you become involved in mining?
Oh, you and the judge may call me Ian if you like.
Oh, in it is then.
Well, I come from a family of miners. Me whole town are miners, actually. A coal, mostly. But seeing that sun and breathing that fresh air after being deep in a mine, well, it almost hurts. It's like you're the first person to see that sun, and the first person to breathe that fresh air. It's at that moment that I feel the most alive. I suppose that's why I keep at it.
It was a fine meal indeed, huh?
Oh, yes, I'm just glad it wasn't crow soup.
Being in San Juan requires the cheerful acceptance of whatever comes your way, be it pleasure or crow soup. Now I understand you're fresh over from Ireland. I haven't been in many years. So tell me, is it still green then?
Oh, wet as a bath sponge and mud up to your knees.
Oh.
But it is still green enough. Sir, have you thought about going back? Back to Ireland?
Whether I want to or not, it will do no good. I am here now. This is my home. Ireland used to be, but I don't expect you to understand that.
Maybe not. But I'm starting to. These hills are just as green.
And the weather's better too. But I suspect you left a lass behind in Ireland, huh?
Here's a picture of her.
Well, look at that.
Oh, she is beautiful. Oh.
Some people are like matches, you know. A lot of light, but not much heat. Some people, they're like furnaces. A lot of heat, but not much light. But once in a lifetime, you get a bonfire. Someone who's so hot and so bright, you dare not stand too near without burning up yourself. That is my Heather. So sweet and beautiful with her innocent smile. And then there are times, well, she gets as mad as a box of frogs. But you're to love her anyway.
Do you?
Why? I do.
Be careful there. You smile any harder, your face is liable to crack.
Oh, I almost have enough money to send her a ticket to join me.
Oh, you know, some men have great success and great adventure, but not great love.
Fine, I'll tell the lad. I had a great love once for a girl who played the organ in the old adobe chapel here in town. Her name was Molly. She was perfect. But I guess some things are just not meant to be.
Oh, I'm not surprised, but what's happened?
She forgot to tell me she had a suitor back in Montana. One day at the telegraph office, I received a wire from Molly. It was the suitor. He wanted to come and take her away from all this.
What did you do?
Well, I spent some time rusticating in San Francisco. But then, San Juan was my home, and it called to me. So I came back here and built this fine home.
Aye, this is a beautiful place. Every chance I get, I explore on horseback, getting familiar with these hills, these valleys, creeks and ravines of this Orange County of yours.
Well, that's an Irishman's inborn love of the land. And something else we both share. Now here, take this.
What is this for?
Don't wait another day. Send for her tomorrow, the minute the telegraph opens up tomorrow. You must promise me.
No, I can't
promise me.
He won't take no for answer.
Oh, you're a man immensely worth knowing. Thank you. I will. I'm a very good man to you both.
I look forward to seeing you and your Heather here soon.
You did not tell him the rest of the story about Molly?
Why do that and ruin a perfectly fine evening?
I tell you, it was the best meal I've had since I've been in California. And then the judge gives me enough money to send for me, Heather.
Oh, not another story of your aching heart.
Shows what you know. I'm sure you heard people's stories about their heart's desires, but that's a load of rot. Hearts are daft. They're big and squishy and full of foolish dreams. It's not my heart that pains me. It's my regrets. Regrets I left her behind. I should have found a way, but I only had enough money for one ticket. It's my fever for fighting gold that got the best of me. Did I tell you? When I was 10 years old, I heard the stories of the miners getting rich in California. So I promised myself that one day I would be a miner.
At 10 years old, you were a miner.
I'm going to ignore that.
Good choice. I always say, don't think about the things that can't be undone, only about what you can do instead. You know, I may not be the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I never let what I cannot do keep me from doing the things I can do.
The journey to Ellis Island in New York was hard, but those 2,800 miles to California were even harder. But it'll all be worth it when my Heather arrives. Sure, no letter I'll be mailing, for soon she will be sailing, and I'll bless the ship that brings her to my dear old San Juan shore. Here we'll settle down forever, I'll leave her again never, and I'll whisper to my sweetheart words of love to which I swore. Yes, hear the waters flowing, and the orange trees are growing, and a gentle swallow soaring over hills so rich and green. From the moment that I meet her, with a hug and kiss I'll greet her, for there's not a gal that's sweeter than my Heather and Colleen. From the moment that I meet her, with a hug and kiss I'll greet her, for there's not a gal that's sweeter than my Heather and Colleen. Oh, just how?
Probably better that way.
After you left, I was standing in a field in Ireland, alone, a little lost, wishing for you more than I wished for my next breath. That was the moment I knew I must find you, Dorcas, and I followed you to America because you were the beginning of a dream I want to remember for all my life.
Did you just come up with that?
No, actually, I read it on a card in the gift shop on the ship coming over. See? Here it is.
Heather, you miss so much.
Not another word.
Oh, I know, I talk too much.
That is true. But actually, it's time for intermission. And these fine folks likely want some refreshments and a cookie from concessions.
I was just gonna say that.
Welcome back.
If you look at the back of your playbill, you'll see some lyrics. Song, sing along. Back of your plate. With Trudy Light at the piano, the judge here will start out at some of his favorite old Irish songs, and we can sing along on the chorus. Are you ready? Yeah. I said, are you ready?
Yeah.
Over
make sure you have this sing-along thing down. Paige. Oh, there you are. Would you help me with another song?
It would be my pleasure, Mr. Judge.
Just Judge is fine.
It would be my pleasure, just Judge.
Close enough. My wild Irish rose, the sweetest flower that grows. We search everywhere, but none can compare to my wild Irish rose. My wild Irish rose, the dearest flower that grows. And one day I do pray she'll come here to stay, my lovely and wild Irish rose. My wild Irish rose, the sweetest flower that grows. You may search everywhere, but none can compare to my wild Irish rose. My wild Irish rose, the dearest flower that grows. And one day I do pray she'll come here to stay, my lovely and wild Irish rose. You can all be very proud of yourselves. Thank you very much.
Now it's time to get back to our story and to find out the conclusion of Dastardly Deeds at Harmony House. Macintosh Mine. The next morning.
I am so tired of the varmints and the weather out here. If half of what you're saying is true, then we're rich. Unless you're lying again.
Some of my stories may have a little less truth than others, but half of what I told them was absolutely 100% bona fide the truth. It's the other half of the truth that's the problem.
Less truth than others? Well, that just sounds like something liars say when they're caught. And there you go again, just trying to confuse me.
Truth is irrelevant. If you want someone to believe a lie, weave it with the truth. You see, half a truth is more valuable than a lie. People can smell a lie, but a half a truth will mislead people for a long time.
What's really good?
Two truths and a lie, that's what I always say. Makes the lie harder to pick up on. What matters is whether the fools out there believe the lie. I meant you, sir.
Oh my
Now you just calm down. Yeah, told her.
Calm down. Calm down?
No, Claire, no.
What?
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Listen.
No, Claire, I wouldn't.
About those 2 words.
What are you doing, Claire? No.
Never tell a woman to calm down.
Unfortunately, the second page of that report states, and I quote, "Plentiful, but too difficult to separate the tin from the various other minerals in the ore like mercury. There's a little bit of everything in the Santa Ana Mountains, but not enough to pay to mine it."
So we're not rich?
Oh, but we are rich.
I'm confused.
You see, Borden and his fellow milk producers were in a bind due to the new decree by the U.S. Health Agency that all milk containers must be covered and sterilized. You see? No. So the wooden buckets that they used to transport the milk were done. Get it? She got it. So, tin to coat the milk containers was the fix they needed for their dilemma. That's why Borden invested $2 million in this mine.
There is no way that you spent all of that on this mine.
Exactly.
Exactly. Oh, I love the smell of brewing coffee and blooming roses and your schemes when they finally come together.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Are you saying that my schemes smell?
Only in the best way. And you're the best villain I know. They should write songs about you.
Interesting you should say that. Nowadays, always such a bore. They never seem to sing about villainy anymore. It's good night, it's that hero that's coming to save the day. Hold on. Ignore those noble souls who dream of foul play. I hope villain to soon come back in style. Could sing the songs that make me smile. Oh, how I love to hear a good old villain song, for that's the only kind of appeals to me. Like them those tied to the railroad track, or Polly trying to get her mortgage back. Oh, I love to hear a good old villain song.
Oh, how I love to hear a good old villain song, for that's the only kind that appeals to me. A song that's so pernicious,
That's vicious and malicious.
and only speaks of heroes begrudgingly.
I love that.
I want a song that has more than its share of bad.
It always cheers me up when things go wrong.
Like a damsel tied to the railroad track, or Polly trying to get her mortgage back. Oh, I love to hear a good old villain song.
Professor, I have a telegram for you.
Oh, it's from Borden.
So it is.
Well, read it.
Dear Professor, just want to
Read it out loud.
Exactly.
Wow. You're a mind reader. Dear Professor, after investing almost $2 million, I will be making a trip to examine my mine with my attorneys and my authorities to decide if my investment has been a wise one or if my company has been milked long enough.
At least he still has a sense of humor. And we have some time to make it before he can make it here from New York City.
I'll keep reading.
Oh.
I'm sending this telegram while already on my journey to you. My people say that we will be arriving no more than a day after you receive this.
Oh.
I know. Cordially signed, Gail Borden the Turd.
That is not good. That is not good at all.
No time to finish Plan A. We gotta go straight to Plan B.
Plan B.
Plan B. People don't make decisions they think are wrong. Because even when they're wrong, they think it was the best option at the time. Claire, I want you to give all the workers the rest of the day off.
Again? But why would we want it?
Did you know that you can't prove or disprove a negative?
What?
Boarding can't examine something that isn't there. It's so sad how many accidents happen in mines these days. One match and one strike in the wrong place at the wrong time, and who knows what could happen.
Is that why you ordered so much extra blasting powder?
They will think that we perished in the explosion.
Oh my.
I know. And in all of the commotion, we can make a clean getaway away from this wretched Orange County. You know, ma'am, with an arm like that, you must be really good at math. Wretched Orange County. Better. Make sure you tell everyone to enjoy the rest of the day off. I don't want anyone in the mine when it goes up in smoke and flames.
Oh my.
They will be so busy digging through the rubble for our bodies and interrogating Dinah for her utter carelessness. We will be living life in Mexico.
You are such a rascal. I do love that about you. No one actually harmed, making Dinah our scapegoat. And we get off scot-free. Perfection. Complete and utter perfection.
I used to like Claire.
She's gonna open.
Well, you know what they say. Dance with the devil, and the devil don't change. The devil changes you. So sad.
Such a great plan B, Professor. I'm sorry I doubted you.
Just don't let it happen again.
Everyone in town has gladiolus, geraniums, and fuchsias growing. Some almost as tall as their heads. Oh, everything about America is so exciting. This is my first time away from home, and I've already seen so many places.
Oh, what was your favorite place?
Never been terribly attached to any place, but I guess I'd have to say right here.
Oh, right here in Harmony House. Here in San Juan.
Actually, no. I mean here, with my Ian.
Heather, it is such a pleasure to meet you. Mr. Hennessy has told us so much about you. As for me, I enjoy San Juan because it is such a safe sanctuary. My ranch is up in Santiago Canyon. Oh, you will have to come and visit.
Judge, Ian told me about your generous kindness. Here, let's take our money back, since we won't be needing it.
No, keep it. A gift is a gift.
That is so true.
I know where this is going. One year I gave Majeska a mounted buffalo head, which she mounted above her fireplace. I still can't believe you put it in such a prominent location.
It was enormous.
It wasn't that big.
But it bore such striking resemblance to my grizzled friend, the judge.
You told the story. You said it was handsome.
I have tried several times to return it, but each time the judge says,
A gift is a gift. Well, it is.
The journey to Ellis Island in New York was a long one. I was lucky enough to get a standby ticket. The ship was so big, and the steerage was a dark and stuffy place that I did not enjoy. What a beautiful hat!
Oh, would you care for a cup of tea?
Oh, back home in Ireland, and as sure as the hills are green, if you visit somebody's house, they will ask if you care for a cup of tea. Of course, you say no, thank you, really, you're just fine. They ask again if you're sure, and you say, no, you really don't need a thing. Except back home in Ireland, we pronounce it ting. No, you don't need a ting. Well, they say then, but I was going to get myself some tea, so it'd be no trouble. Ah, that's when you say, well, if you're going to get yourself some tea, then I wouldn't mind a spot, so long as it's no trouble and I can give you a hand. Then you go through it all over again, till you wind up around the stove drinking tea and chatting. Here in America, if you visit somebody's home and they ask if you care for a cup of tea, and you say no, well, you don't get any blasted tea.
I like Irish way much better.
Speaking of the Irish, I find it hard to believe that professor you work for is even 1/4 Irish.
Professor, he never gives a straight answer to a question, and I'm beginning to think he doesn't know the first thing about mining. Why answer a question, he says, if I can tell a good story instead?
Well, if he isn't Irish, at least in that regard, he does a fine impersonation.
From what Ian tells me of him back in Ireland, we'd call that professor a chancer. A dodgy character who would do anything to get what they want.
You may have him figured right. He's too rumbly a bloke to be fully trusted. The miners say he'd tell you an eye out of your own head if you're not careful.
Well, sometimes it's safer to doubt everything. And since sometimes everyone lies, you can never be sure of what you're hearing is the whole truth.
Well, perhaps you are just misunderstanding Professor's intentions. When I make New York debut in 1877, halfway through performance, they whistle at me on stage. A whistle in my country of Poland is not polite. Whistle at actor, and they will leave stage forever. But I was assured that here in America, whistles mean something very different, and eventually I learned to be delighted by them. And I no longer jump too quickly to conclusions. Oh!
I'm sorry to barge in at this hour, but did you all hear the news?
What?
Jose Garcia was shot dead in front of his saloon.
Oh, that's horrible. Does Maria know?
She was home at the time. It is. The sheriff told her.
Oh.
But if there's any good news, they caught the man that did it. Someone named Manuel. The sheriff's in town trying to keep a mob from taking justice into their own hands.
I understand. Where did they find Manuel?
In the marshlands, behind Grover's house.
Really? That's odd. Thanks for the news.
I thought you said someone was safe.
Well, normally it is. Crimes punishable by hanging are out of my normal jurisdiction. But still, I will lend my voice to make sure justice is served. It's the least I can do for Maria.
Thank you, Judge. The Garcia family will surely appreciate it. But I gotta go now.
Good night, Tennessee.
Heather, I insist that you stay at my home tonight. A miner's bunkhouse or hotel in town is no place for a young lady.
As long as it's no trouble.
Oh, it's no trouble at all. And besides, I can use company. My husband, Charlie, he is out of town. His given name is Carol, but he loves it when I call him Charlie. Come, my carriage is round the back.
Oh, thank you kindly. I would love that.
I'll come with you, ladies, you know, to make sure you make it.
Oh, that would be so nice of you. Thank you. I tell you a secret. I am not actually royalty.
Really?
My husband is not actually count.
Really?
It is interesting story. You see, when other stars are resting during off-season, I prefer to teach and advise aspiring actors.
I suppose you've heard the news, Judge, Grover, telling me it didn't have anything to do with this.
Accidental. I categorically assure you.
This troubling that Garcia was shot just 3 days after signing over a deed of grazing rights over to you. Now, I notarized those documents, remember?
Yes, I do seem to recall that.
And apparently they found your hired hand, Manuel, hiding in the marshlands, not 100 yards behind your house. Now, any judge would find that a dubious set of events.
You're not just any judge. As I said, it's coincidental. Manuel was drunk and he hated Garcia. With your help, I'm sure this whole thing will sort itself out.
My help?
Judge, some questions are better not asked, and certainly better not answered. I'm your friend, you know me.
I thought that I did.
It was a dastardly deed. Of course. Judge, our little town doesn't need a scandal right now. Not when we're all just getting back on our feet after last year's financial panic. I'm just suggesting that you do what you can to speed things along. It's in the best interest of the town and mine.
I read somewhere that the world is a fine place and worth fighting for. I suppose I must agree, at least with the second part.
It all began small, innocently, as most catastrophes do. A butterfly flaps its pretty wings somewhere, and then the wind changes. And then there's rain off the coast of Spain. And before you know it, you've got a typhoon buried up. Before anybody knew what was happening, there was a storm coming down on it. And there was nothing left to do but run for cover.
You know, I never thought that saying, "There's tin in those hills," had the right ring to it anyways.
I just moved all the explosives I had dyno placed in tunnels 2 and 3 throughout the mine.
Saw a dire warning at the bottom of my teacup this morning. Dread portents of this scheme of yours. Well, I used to be a fortune teller, so I know a thing or two about predicting the future.
If you ask me, Claire, you were more of a misfortune teller. But I will listen and take extra care.
It's our wedding anniversary next week. How do you think we should celebrate it?
With a moment of silence.
Oh, you. Oh, you.
No one in the mine. Explosives laid out in strategic places. I'll lay some of our old clothes out, so that when the entire mine goes up in smoke,
They will think that we got trapped inside when it all went wrong. You are brilliant.
I do like to think so. And now, every detail carefully accounted for. I will place this right here. Put 10 minutes on the clock and set it for a chain reaction.
Really too bad, though. I thought maybe we'd have more time here, and this time it could be different.
Claire, speaking of time, you grab the clock, not the clock, the clock there, you grab the bags, and,
So don't touch it.
do not touch the clock, that's there, we better vamoose. All the vamoose, it is good! Go!
Seen how beautiful her house is. Roses, rosely in bloom. The fragrance of violets and orange blossoms everywhere. She was so nice. She even gave me her favourite hat.
I know we could have visited with her longer, but I just had to show you the mine. No. It's not a gold or silver mine, but the tracks I did in there are some of the best work.
If you can find it, even Tim can make you rich. Surprised to see you here on your day off, Hennessy.
Dinah, may I introduce my Heather?
Pleased to meet you.
So you do exist. The matters were talking about you like you were too good to be real. I was just getting some supplies from town to ward off the occasional tarantula or scorpion we see around here.
Oh boy!
Strange. Looks like someone's moved the barrels of blasting powder in. What is that in the mine? Is that clothing strewn about?
I think you're right. Stay here, Heather. We'll be right back.
Is everything fine in there? Might as well tidy about here. Someone left their cloth out here on the barrel. Oh boy! That's not something you see every day. Oh, Hennessy!
We'll
Be right out.
You might want to come have a look at this.
We'll be right out.
You might want to come have a look at this now.
What is it? A scorpion, tarantula, what?
Look!
Whoa. Well, that's not something you see every day. Dinah, you might want to come have a look at this.
I'll be right out.
I said you might want to come have a look at this.
Well, that's not one of mine. Even though it has my name on it.
Well, if it isn't yours, then.
That explains what I saw inside the mine. Explosive charges said. One spark and the whole mountain is liable to blow sky high. Someone set this up for a chain reaction.
Why not just cut the primary lead wire?
Interesting you ask. It occurred to me also. This appears to be a Jefferson 28 style bomb. But seeing as I didn't put the contraption together and whoever did only used black wires, it can't easily be diffused. And it looks like there's less than a minute to, well, until that bomb does what it was designed to do.
So, what you're saying is?
Tunnels spread out in all directions from where we are.
Well, I laid the tracks down in each tunnel. I know that as well as anyone.
So no matter where you throw it,
Still trigger the same explosion in the mine.
and with those explosives,
Safe distance we can get to.
it's been a real pleasure working with you. I'm sorry it had to end under these circumstances. What are you doing?
At first I thought it was a Jefferson 28, but it's actually a Stanley 42. They were commonly confused. All it needed was a ground to the common, and the bomb was disabled. Good thing I had a hackman to do the trick.
Good thing.
Don't you remember both me father and me grandfather were explosive experts in the coal mines back in Ireland?
Third generation?
That's what
Me too. You got yourself a real keeper here, Hennessy.
Apparently that is an understatement.
I am impressed. Using a hat pin? Innovative.
Never underestimate the value of the millinery.
Such a beautiful hat.
Now, I know you want to believe that a hero is truly heroic, and a villain is just plain bad and stole your rock.
But I've learned things are not that simple. Good guys can do some truly awful things on an accident. And even a heroine can surprise the heck out of you with a hat pin. It is late at night at Harmony House as they share stories of the day.
I still can't figure out if the professor was a good man for not wanting to blow up mine with anybody around, or if there was just no good in him at all for not making sure. I suppose it doesn't really matter.
Well, they haven't found the Professor or Clary yet, but I'm sure Justice will get his arms around them soon enough.
Of course they will catch Professor. I mean, what are the chances that he escapes, comes back to town only to try another evil scheme in the future, huh?
Nah! 3 cheers for Heather! We saved the day! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! For she's a jolly good fella, for she's a jolly good fella, for she's a jolly good fella, and so say all of us!
Who dies?
Nobody. Did y'all hear the news?
What news is it now, Tennessee? It's been a long day.
Gold! They discovered gold up in the Klondike.
Gold.
All the miners have already packed up. Oh, it's right here in the newspaper.
Gold? I mean, gold, you say?
Oh, yeah. Some fella named Carmack was prospecting up in the Klondike. He discovered so much gold, it's causing a stampede. I, for one, am not going to miss out on freshly mined gold.
Stampede, you say?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have a jump of at least 6 weeks on all those Easterners. I'm headed off to San Pedro in the morning to the Pacific Coast Steamship Company. They got a ship, it's called the Coos Bay, and it's headed to Klondike and San Francisco, and I intend to be on it.
Heather, oh, you've come such a long way, and no, I can't ask you to...
Tennessee, to understand the Irish, you have to know that the more foolish or illogical one's actions might be, the quicker we are to take the leap. Tennessee, make that trade ticket to get some of that gold.
All right, you got it.
Let's go pack up.
This will surely be an interesting adventure to tell, Judge. I am sure you will read about it in a book one day.
Or maybe someone will act it out in a play.
God forbid.
And Tim, you're invited to come too, you know.
Oh, I've been a prospector and fur trapper for umpteen years. 10 mules couldn't keep me away.
Oh, well, guess what? I already got my Klondike guidebook. It shows all the best routes and equipment.
Oh, what do you know? I got my own copy right here, too. I'll see you in San Pedro in the morning.
All right, well, the more the merrier.
You know, I've traveled through 14 states of the Union with you after the war, and nowhere is there a better place than right here in San Juan Capistrano. Tim, are you sure? The town just won't be the same without you.
Oh, Judge, I've known you half my life. It's that old aching heart of yours acting up again. Am I right or am I right?
I was just thinking of Molly.
Well, just remember what old Tim Burr says when the winds of change blow. Tim Burr just looks a big old storm right square in the eye and says, "Go ahead, give it your best shot." Judge, sometimes nothing you can do about it except keep moving forward.
Actually, that's good advice. That's not at all like you, Tim.
Judge, you'll see me back here soon enough with my pockets filled with gold. Take care.
Good night, Tim, and good luck. Well, Molly, sorry I haven't been around the last few days. Wherever you may be, you sure missed a lot of excitement back here in San Juan. Though we didn't have a future, we sort of possessed a wonderful past, you and I, didn't we? Though it's been 20 years, in my eyes, Molly, you haven't aged a day. I am thinking sweet thing that I once loved so. She's so far away, she is nearer today. Every breeze whispers her name on low. When the moon shines in San Juan, she's with me once more. And I dream of my Molly here just as before. She's the lass that I loved, she's the gal I adored. When the moon shines in San Juan, I am with her once more. Oh, Molly. The moon shines in San Juan, I am with her once more.
You did not tell Hennessy the rest of story about Molly, did you?
There she was, Molly, standing in my telegraph office, waiting for me to say, please stay, or please don't go. But that was not my way. So she looked up, sighed, and had me wire her consent back to her old beau.
Well, Tim is right. What did he say? Oh yes, keep moving forward.
You were listening at the kitchen. Ah, Tim. He's never been one to utter a word that makes anyone run to a dictionary. But still, I will miss that so-and-so. Even losing to me at cards every Saturday night.
It is good to see Heather and Hennessy starting new life together, yes? The excitement, I think it has been good for me.
But you're still on the mend. Perhaps you better call it a night.
What are you talking about? I know how much you love your cards, and with half the town in the Yukon.
Well, perhaps your Carol's back from Los Angeles already. He may be waiting and worried about you.
I am sure that he can get along without me while I play just one hand of cards with a good friend.
I'd like that. I would like that a lot.